He is every bit of that, just like Beterbiev. And that gets lost because of his style, because of the way he approaches his business versus the way Beterbiev approaches it. That's number one.
But in Bivol, he's like when you watch him, Bivol, it's like watching a boxer on ice skates. He moves this way, he moves that way, he jabs, he hooks, he uppercuts. He's got a whole repertoire of punches in his arsenal.
After witnessing the one-of-a-kind battle between two of the best light heavyweights in the world, Teddy Atlas has recognized Dmitry Bivol as the best fighter of this era. While Terence Crawford praised Dmitry Bivol's performance, stating that he fought well and deserved the victory, he acknowledged Bivol's determination, emphasizing that he wanted it more and gave everything he had in the ring.
Oh man, he did good, man. He won the fight.
Overall, the way he fought, what do you think made the difference tonight in your opinion?
He was in better shape.
Yeah?
He left it all in the ring. He wanted it more.
Yeah.
Voicing the same sentiments, Duke McKenzie emphasized that the rematch between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev exceeded their first fight, something that rarely happens in boxing. He noted that rematches don't often deliver the same level of intensity and performance as the original bout, but in this case, Bivol and Beterbiev managed to surpass their first encounter.
You know, I wasn't disappointed with yesterday. I thought yesterday's main event for me exceeded. It exceeded their first fight, Bivol and Beterbiev. I thought that, normally when you get two guys fighting in a really good fight and then you get the return, it doesn't really happen for whatever reason. But this return fight surpassed the first fight.
McKenzie stated that when two fighters of this caliber clash, they bring out the best in each other. He emphasized that Bivol and Beterbiev left every ounce of energy in the ring, showcasing every possible form of skill. Both men, he noted, were not only technically brilliant, but also highly strategic in their approach, making for an elite-level contest.
When you get two guys of this caliber, when they come head-to-head and they leave every ounce of energy in that ring, and they show every skill, every form of skill possible, and you saw everything in that fight. The jabs, the crosses, the hooks, the uppercuts. Nobody wanted to take a backward step. They were both strategic in their whole approach throughout the fight.
Eddie Hearn asserted that Dmitry Bivol's victory solidified his place as the undisputed #2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, leaving no doubt about his standing among boxing's elite.
And we have to remember, this is also the guy that went to Las Vegas and Cinco de Mayo and beat Canelo Alvarez, the pound-for-pound #1. This is also the guy that just beat the undisputed champion who was top 5 pound-for-pound. For me, there is an argument that this man here sits as pound-for-pound #1. We'll give Usyk the benefit of the doubt because he's a great fighter, but for me right now, this is the pound-for-pound #2 in the sport. One of the best performances I've ever seen.
Teddy Atlas reflected on his predictions, noting that he had picked Dmitry Bivol to win both fights. While his prediction was incorrect the first time, he was proven right in the rematch. Atlas explained that the key difference between the two bouts was the championship rounds, especially the final 3 rounds, which had secured Artur Beterbiev's victory in their first encounter, but did not play out the same way in the rematch.
This fight I picked Bivol to win. I was right. And I'll tell you why I picked him. And I said it for the whole the bugs and anyone out there to hear. I thought that the reason Beterbiev won, and I felt surely won the first fight, he won the championship rounds. And that was one of the distinct differences in this fight. And to your point, that Bivol won the early rounds, which he did the first fight too.
Furthermore, Atlas pointed out a key difference in the rematch, emphasizing that Bivol refused to let Beterbiev take control of the championship rounds or any of the late rounds. Atlas noted that while Bivol could have lost the fight overall, he was determined to ensure that Beterbiev wouldn't win the final rounds, something that had also been a decisive factor in their first encounter.
Bivol didn't let him win the championship or any of the late rounds. He didn't let him. I felt for sure that Bivol was going to make sure of one thing going into this rematch, but he wasn't going to lose the championship rounds. He might lose the fight. He might lose it. He wasn't going to lose because of that. He's a proud guy. He's an experienced guy. He's a former world champion. Now he's the champ again. He's got, good people around him, smart people around him.
Teddy emphasized that Dmitry Bivol has a strong team around him and possesses the same high-level amateur pedigree as Artur Beterbiev. He pointed out that Bivol was never going to lose simply because he couldn't close the fight better than Beterbiev, ensuring he finished strong and controlled the later rounds.
Like he's got the amateur pedigree just like Beterbiev does. He was not gonna get beat because he couldn't finish better than Beterbiev. That was not going to happen. And you know what, bud? It didn't happen. He made sure that would not be the failing point of this second try for the title. I thought going in.
However, Teddy Atlas acknowledged that while he had predicted a Bivol victory in pre-fight interviews and analysis, he also considered factors that could have worked in Beterbiev's favor. He pointed out that with more time to recover, Beterbiev's knee could have been in better condition, potentially allowing him to perform at an even higher level than before.
I thought there was a couple things that could be different for both guys. I thought Beterbiev maybe could be better, maybe, because he had more time for his knee to be rehabilitated and to have a full proper training where maybe he was a little off, maybe, even though he won the first time, so you'd never know it. But he had knee surgery the first fight, and there was speculation on how close that was to the fight.
Teddy noted that while he initially considered the possibility that Beterbiev's improved knee could make a difference, in the end, it didn't seem to have any impact on the outcome of the fight.
Did he have full time to do all his cardio stuff, everything that he would have liked to have done on a fully repaired knee? This time he will have that time. That didn't make a difference. I thought maybe it makes a difference. I thought there was one other thing before I move on to Bivol.
However, Teddy Atlas remarked that Father Time had come knocking for Artur Beterbiev, acknowledging the toll of age on the 40-year-old fighter. While he made it clear that he wasn't taking anything away from Dmitry Bivol's victory, Atlas suggested that Beterbiev's age may have played a factor in the outcome.
I'm taking nothing away from Bivol, but I don't know if he did. He's 40, what is he, 40 now or 41?
He's 40 now, turned 40 in January, and he made a point to start faster in this point, and it did seem like the tank was a little lower towards the later rounds in this fight.
I don't know. Listen, Father Time gets us all.
Being on the same page as Teddy, Greg Hackett acknowledged that it was another great fight, but noted that Artur Beterbiev appeared slower this time. He stated that it felt like age and past injuries were beginning to catch up with him. However, Hackett also pointed out that Beterbiev looked well prepared and had clearly devised a strategic game plan for the rematch and was sturdy.
I thought, man, it was a good fight again, but Beterbiev just looked a little bit slower. He just looked like the age catching up with him. The injuries catching up with him. Beterbiev looked like he was really game planning for this fight. He stuck to the game plan. He countered. Got touched with some, got buzzed a little bit, but he kept it sturdy.
Hackett observed that Artur Beterbiev boxed with less movement this time, opting for a more calculated approach. He noted that while many people weren't giving Beterbiev enough credit, he actually performed much better in the rematch. Hackett emphasized that Beterbiev settled into the fight more effectively, showcasing his skill and adaptability despite the challenges he faced.
He boxed without moving too much, you know what I'm saying? Counter right hand, he was countering with that jab, he was timing, he was doing a real good job, man. A lot of people don't want to give him credit, but he did a lot better than the first fight, because the first fight, it was all action because it was the first time we seen it, and they both was riled up. But this fight, he settled in, and he scored more punches. I felt like he was just scoring. He won by outboxing.
Moving on, Ade Oladipo described rounds 8, 9, and 10 as some of the best boxing he has ever witnessed live, praising the high-level skill, intensity, and drama that unfolded during that stretch of the fight.
Rounds 8, 9, and 10, maybe even 11, but definitely 8, 9, and 10 was some of the best boxing I think I've ever seen live, ever, from anybody. And I've been lucky enough to have seen a lot of good live boxing. Like I saw Crawford bash up Spence, and that was fucking fascinating. But rounds 8, 9 of 10 of Bivol, considering how rounds 5, 6, and 7 looked, rounds 8, 9, and 10, and considering who he was up against, I thought was just It was a masterclass.
Oladipo remarked that Bivol's approach almost felt like a calculated strategy, winning the first 4 rounds, then allowing Beterbiev to believe he was taking control in the middle rounds, forcing him to expend energy before unleashing a relentless attack in the final rounds to take over the fight.
Like, it's almost as though it was almost as though that was a plan. Okay, so we're going to win the first 4 rounds, and then we're going to make him feel like he's winning, and he's going to expand all this energy, and then we're going to go boom.
In addition, Ade Oladipo observed a significant moment in the rematch, noting that for the first time, at least in their fights, he saw Artur Beterbiev nod in acknowledgement of Dmitry Bivol as a worthy opponent. Oladipo suggested that Bivol had finally earned Beterbiev's respect, something he felt was missing in their first encounter.
It was the first time, at least in their fights, I've ever seen Beterbiev nod. You know, like when someone, you know you've been cracked, and he kind of was like, okay, fair play, you kind of got me there. And he almost applauded Bivol within the fight. And I was like, okay, even he finally, Bivol's finally got the respect from Beterbiev, because I felt like he didn't get the respect from him in the first fight.
Talking about the Russian fighter, Carl Froch highlighted Dmitry Bivol's ability to adapt in the rematch, stating that he recognized the need to be more active and make key adjustments. Froch noted that Bivol had learned from his mistakes in the first fight, entering the rematch with a sharper game plan. This time, he fought with urgency from the start and closed the fight stronger.
Now, this was the rematch, and Bivol came into this fight knowing that he had to do more. He knew where he went wrong in the first one. He took his foot off the gas in the end, whether he was tired, whether he was fatigued, or whether he just thought he'd done enough to win, and it was close, and he just didn't want to take a gamble, didn't want to risk it against the monster puncher that Beterbiev is. So, you know, this one, he came in with a purpose. He came in like a man on a mission. He knew he had to finish strong. And to be honest, he didn't just finish strong, he started strong.
Josh Warrington believes that the right fighter had his hand raised at the end. He revealed that he scored the bout 116 to 114 in favor of Dmitry Bivol, having 2 rounds a draw between the two, awarding Bivol 6 rounds, Beterbiev 4.
Yeah, I had 116, 114. I had 6-4. And then 2 shared. I know people don't like having a shared round, but some of them rounds were that tight, and I just couldn't split them. There was sometimes Bivol would start the round well and Beterbiev would finish it better, and vice versa. But yeah.
On the other hand, while sharing his expert analysis, Teddy Atlas also emphasized that while physical ability and proper training are essential, mental toughness is just as crucial in boxing. He stated that 75% of success comes down to being mentally strong and composed. Atlas acknowledged that it's easy to give Beterbiev credit for his relentless style and physicality, but his greatest asset has always been his mental strength.
But you have to be together mentally. 75% of it is being together mentally. And it's easy to give credit to Beterbiev because of his style, how strong he is mentally. You don't need Teddy Atlas to tell you that. What's not as easy to notice, to give credit to sometimes, and I said this in the first fight.
Atlas pointed out that while it's easy to recognize Artur Beterbiev's mental toughness due to his aggressive style, approach, and attitude, what's often overlooked is just how mentally strong Dmitry Bivol is as well. He emphasized that Bivol isn't just a talented fighter, he's every bit as tough and determined as Beterbiev, even if he doesn't always get the credit for it.
He is every bit of that, just like Beterbiev. And that gets lost because of his style, because of the way he approaches his business versus the way Beterbiev approaches it. That's number one. Number two, as much as Bivol was a world champion in the first fight, Bud, he was a terrific amateur.
Ade Oladipo, who has witnessed countless legendary fighters go at one another, was also in awe of Dmitry Bivol's skill level, openly expressing his admiration while watching the fight unfold. He was captivated by Bivol's technical brilliance, but also acknowledged the tension in key moments, noting that Beterbiev was often just inches away from landing a devastating fight-changing shot.
And he was just fantastic. Like, he was making Beterbiev lunge in, and then he was spinning off the ropes, and I was just like, oh, this is incredible. I was like, just carry on. But there were moments, again, even in that masterclass, but he felt like Beterbiev was just that close away from landing a sledgehammer.
Teddy Atlas highlighted a key point, stating that while Dmitry Bivol was already a world champion, an exceptional amateur, and an undefeated fighter heading into the first bout, it was still his first time stepping into a unification fight against the feared boogeyman Artur Beterbiev. Despite his confidence and credentials, the magnitude of that moment was something entirely new for him.
He was a terrific amateur. He was undefeated. All of that. He thought he could win. He was sure he would win. He was confident. He was all of those things. It was still the first time he was going in there for a unification fight against a guy we know as the boogeyman. He had never been in, I don't care about all that stuff. He had never been in there. What's his name from John Wick? What's his name?
Moreover, Ade Oladipo pointed out a dramatic moment in the fight where both Bivol and Beterbiev swung for a knockout blow but missed by mere inches. He noted that while a clean shot from Bivol might not have inflicted significant damage on the feared boogeyman, if Beterbiev had landed his punches, it could have been lights out for Bivol.
That there was a time, it might have been, can't remember, it might have been round 9 or 10 where they both went for the home run. And me, they both missed by that much. And Bivol landing, I don't know if Bivol's landing and doing anything to Beterbiev, but I know if Beterbiev landed that shot, it's lights out for Bivol for about a month. He put everything into it and they both missed. And I think it was 9 because then the bell went. I remember thinking, fuck, here we go, championship rounds. So it might have been 9.
Meanwhile, Dmitry Bivol admitted to Artur Beterbiev that he had looked up to him early in his career, expressing his deep respect for the former champion. After the fight, Bivol extended his hand, thanking Beterbiev for the battle. In response, Beterbiev acknowledged Bivol's skills, calling him a very good fighter. He emphasized that at the end of the day, boxing is just a sport. Despite the brutal nature of their clash, there was nothing personal between them.
After the fight, I came to Beterbiev and I told him, Artur, I respect you so much because when I was young and I came to national team, I was looking after you, how you are training, and you were the number one. I really respect you and I want to shake your hand and say thank you for this fight. And we shake hands. And he said, thank you for the fight also, and this is sport. Yeah, this is what happened. You are a good fighter also.
After the decision was announced, Dmitry Bivol revealed that he and Artur Beterbiev had another conversation. According to Bivol, Beterbiev approached him and stated that he would not shake his hand because they were not finished as opponents, confidently asserting that a third fight was inevitable. Bivol clarified that Beterbiev was not being rude or arrogant. He simply stated it as a fact, showing his determination for a trilogy bout.
And then we had another talk. He came, but he didn't. But he said, like, I will not shake hand now because we will have third fight, and it was in the normal way, not like arrogant. You know, it was fine. I said, okay, no problem.
Teddy Atlas stated that the first fight provided Dmitry Bivol with the answers everyone needed. According to Atlas, Bivol discovered that he could rely on himself against the feared boogeyman Beterbiev, and more importantly, realized that he had the potential to be even better.
Man, you don't know if you could come out alive with your soul still in your chest after you've been in there with the boogeyman. And that's what that first fight did for Bivol. It gave him answers to questions we all need. Can I depend on him myself? In this case with the boogeyman at that level. And he found out, yeah, I could. And I even think I could be better than I was. And I even know that I will be better, and I have to. But that, for me, made the difference in this fight.
True Jordy observed that Artur Beterbiev didn't have the same legs in the rematch as he did in their first fight. While Beterbiev still applied pressure early, Jordy noted that it was ultimately his own pace that began to slow him down. He emphasized that Beterbiev deserves some leeway considering he stepped into the ring at 40 years old, past his physical prime.
You could see Beterbiev didn't have the legs this time that he did last time, right? He tried to invoke that early on and put the pressure on early on, but it was him who was slowing down. He struggled to keep the pressure up in the later rounds, and you got to give him, some slack. The guy's 40 years old. Like, he wouldn't have even been 100% in his prime in the last fight, let alone every fight that goes by now. It's going to get harder for him.
Jordy stated that he felt Dmitry Dmitry Bivol showed greater maturity and readiness in the rematch, having learned from the first fight. He noted that Bivol stayed in the pocket longer instead of backing away, demonstrating increased confidence and composure. Meanwhile, Beterbiev struggled to generate the same impact as before, as his legs weren't moving quickly enough to close the distance effectively.
But I thought Bivol showed that he was a bit more of a man this time. He was a bit more ready. He learned from the Beterbiev fight. He took the shots better. His chin was granite. And he also stayed in the pocket for longer periods of time, dishing out the punishment. Instead of, last time when it did get a bit nasty, he would be the first one to back down. And he didn't back down the way he did last time. And Beterbiev couldn't get the impact on his shots that he did last time because that back leg was just not moving in as quick enough to generate the force and to close the distance the way he did last time.
Ade Oladipo stated that there might not be a better mover in boxing than Dmitry Bivol, praising his incredible footwork and movement. He recalled watching Terence Crawford and Alexander Usyk, both locked into the fight, mesmerized by the sheer skill and ability on display from both Bivol and Beterbiev.
We know he's got the legs. There might not be a better mover in boxing than Dmitry Bivol. There might not be. I mean, there isn't. There isn't. His movement is just, it's incredible. Oh, you know what was more incredible? We'll get back to the fight in a second. I think I took a video of it. Usyk and Crawford were like that watching. And I was like, wow, both of them just like that. Watching, I was like, this is incredible. We have
Duke McKenzie described Artur Beterbiev as a relentless predator who stalks his opponents, never letting go once he has them hurt. In contrast, he compared Dmitry Bivol to a boxer gliding on ice skates, effortlessly moving in and out of danger. McKenzie highlighted Bivol's versatility, noting that he has the full repertoire of punches, all seamlessly integrated into his style. This, he said, is why the fight never failed to deliver excitement.
We know what Beterbiev brings to fights. He's a predator, and he stalks you, and he hits you, and he hurts you. But in Bivol, he's like when you watch him, Bivol, it's like watching a boxer on ice skates. He moves this way, he moves that way, he jabs, he hooks, he uppercuts. He's got a whole repertoire of punches in his arsenal, and like I say, that fight never failed to deliver it. It was superb.
In addition, McKenzie was so impressed by the fight that he stated he would be re-watching the thrilling spectacle. He emphasized that the bout was a masterclass in skill, strategy, and heart, making it an unforgettable contest worth experiencing again.
I'm going to watch it again today. I was that taken back with it. It was great to watch.
Greg Hackett pointed out that Beterbiev won the first fight because he stepped up in the final 2 to 3 rounds. Given how competitive both fights have been, he stated that a trilogy is necessary. In his view, it's only fair and right to settle the rivalry with one more fight.
For me it was, because the first fight, I felt like Beterbiev won because the last 2-3 rounds, he picked it up and Bivol kind of fell apart. That's what I felt like.
Do you want to see the third fight?
I think we have to see it. I think it's only fair for business sake. And I mean, if you beat a guy, then he beat you, it's only right we do it one more time.
Regardless of what's next, one thing is certain. This rivalry has captivated the boxing world, and fans are eager for the final chapter. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed the video, leave us a like and share these analysis with fellow boxing fans. If you want to stay updated with the latest and trendiest boxing news, hit the subscribe button with a jab and smash the bell icon with a cross, and we will see you in the next exciting video.